Come on and shine, shine, shine. Las Vegas, shine your light on me.
Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight. Join award-winning host Dale Davidson as he interviews the most remarkable people you'll find in the entertainment capital of the world. You'll meet entertainers, sports figures, newsmakers, community and business leaders, and people just like you with stories that'll touch your heart. Now, here's Dale Davidson.
And welcome to Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. Each and every episode, we bring you fascinating guests. We've outdone ourselves this time, way outdone it. How's that? Can you live up to it?
That's pretty good. No, now I'm intimidated.
Sam Sorbo. Sam, thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. It's fun to be here with you.
It's wonderful to have you. We're at the Freedom Fest. Tell me what brings you to the Freedom Fest at the Paris Hotel in Las Vegas.
The main reason that I'm here is because our new film with my husband, we produced a film called Miracle in East Texas.
Right.
And so we're showing it at the Anthem Film Festival, which is an offshoot of the Freedom Fest.
It is.
And so that shows tonight. But I'm also presenting twice based on my real passion, which I shouldn't say real passion, but my primary passion is home education.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And
let's talk about that right away.
All right.
Your kids all homeschooled?
Yes.
And you have three?
I have three.
Tell me about your kids.
So my oldest was in second grade, and I just in the public school, which was a very good school.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And we actually moved to that community because the school was so good. I do this because people don't understand.
Yeah.
Good compared to what?
Yes.
Okay? I think we're 27th in the world. We're the United States of America, and we rank like 27th in our school standings, in our education
literacy
standings.
And everything else.
Everything combined, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember what the individual statistics are, but there's one for reading, one for math. Anyway, it averages out to 27th in the world.
That's not
which
that
puts
great.
us behind Lithuania. Nothing against Lithuania, but we're the United States. We spend so much per student. I think we're second in the world next to Switzerland with the amount of money that we spend per student.
So that's not the solution.
No, clearly not.
And smaller class size is not the solution.
You know, there are a lot of problems with the entire system of education.
Yeah.
One of which is that our schools form a wedge between the child and the parent. This is what parents fail to recognize. So while we're focusing on education, which, by the way, they're not accomplishing, because education is the ability to hear someone else's opinion and not lose your self-confidence.
Yeah, sure.
And yet, what do we see everywhere?
Yeah.
We need safe spaces. You've triggered me. I need trigger warnings. All of that, right?
I'm a snowflake.
I'm a snowflake.
Yeah.
I'm not a snowflake.
Yeah, I know. That's what they're saying. Yeah.
So in second grade, the school wasn't getting it done for my son.
Yeah.
There were a couple of different things. I won't bore you with that. They're in my book. A couple different stories of how I just came to the realization that, gee, maybe I could fail not as badly as the school was failing. Seriously, because the bar is really low. They set the bar really low.
Yeah.
So I brought the kids home, and I said to my husband, who was skeptical, obviously, his father's a school teacher. He grew up, and we grew up with sort of the American dream of you go up. Well, he did. I shouldn't say I did, because I hated school, and school really didn't like me.
Really?
I think I was absent from school like more than anybody ever.
Just didn't like going.
No, I really disliked it.
Yeah.
I disliked the social atmosphere. I disliked the way things were taught. They made learning boring. When I got to college and I had to take a history course, and I hated history, I took the hardest course so that it would challenge me, so that I wouldn't get bored and flunk. And the hardest course was a seminar course on American history that was absolutely brilliant. It made history come alive, and I fell in love with history.
See, that's what you needed,
The other thing our education system does is it bifurcates. You're either humanities, which means that you like reading and you like writing,
or
and you're good at those things, or you're STEM, which is absolutely preposterous, and it's an awful thing that we do. All of our curriculum, the way that I homeschool, all of our curriculum is integrated. because science is not without history.
Sure, yeah.
There is a history of science. And if you don't understand history, you can't understand how science evolved or became the science that we have today.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you separate things, then you're more likely to believe in global warming.
Yeah,
Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I understand.
So I brought the kids home in second grade, and I said, I'll do it for one semester.
Just to see.
Just to see.
Yeah.
And I did it for the semester, and I went, this is like the bee's knees. This is like, this is the greatest gift. And we are robbing parents of the gift of their children. I say to parents, your children are a gift to you. Why would you send them to someone else to open?
Yeah, that's nice. I like that.
And it's a travesty.
Yeah.
So I do say that the school, and I don't blame teachers. They are part of the system. They're sort of suckered into being part of this system.
Yeah.
But it's a broken system. And the funny thing is, nobody contests that it's a broken system. Everybody agrees, oh, the system's broken.
Well, do something about it. Yeah.
That's what I'm here to do.
For those people, and we'll talk about your book here in a second, but for those people who are considering homeschooling and a little intimidated by the idea, tell me how you got started. Here we go. They're your kids, an inspirational journey from self-doubter to homeschool advocate.
So I doubted myself.
Yeah, you weren't sure.
I didn't think that I could get it done.
Can I do this? Yeah.
But what convinced me was the school wasn't getting it done, and I went, well, if they can't do it, I cannot do it as good as they can't do it.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? It's a little convoluted.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But to convince myself, I sort of had to go there. And then about a year and a half in, I really started doubting myself again.
Really?
And so I enrolled the boys in a tiny private Christian school setting that was part hybrid. It was a hybrid thing, so I would homeschool them 2 days a week, and then they'd go to school for 3 days a week. And I thought this was going to be the be-all and end-all.
Oh, yeah.
And it turned out that, in fact, when they go to school, they get back on the treadmill.
Really?
It is a treadmill. It's an assembly line. That's what our schools are. They're the assembly line technique. So get a kid, put him on the treadmill, and then, or on the conveyor belt, I should say, and then just stuff him full of information.
Right.
And then when he comes out, is he educated? No. He just has a bunch of information.
Yeah.
But he's never really taught what to do with that information.
Just spew it back on a test.
Yes, we teach kids what to think, not how to think.
Yeah.
And so but I hadn't been convinced of that yet. So I thought, okay, this little private school is going to get it done. And after 6 weeks, I went in, had a meeting with the teacher, because I wanted to make sure that I was holding up my end of the deal, right?
Right, yeah.
And she hit me with about 10 minutes of how well behaved my child was. Because our teachers these days are behavior therapists, like they're behavior specialists.
They kind of have to be.
They kind of have to be.
Yeah.
You got 30 kids in a classroom, 25 kids in a... Your main concern is that they don't get out of hand.
Yeah, yeah.
And so she regaled me with stories of how she put the misbehaved child next to my son because my son was so polite and so well behaved. And all the time, a little voice in my head going, not his job. That's not what he's here for.
Yeah.
In fact, my response to that, I didn't say this out loud, but I thought, that's not what I want to hear. What I want to hear is he's disruptive.
Yeah.
I want to hear my son is so enthusiastic with learning. He's raising his hand all the time, interrupting you. But why is this? But how is that?
Yeah.
And I didn't. Yeah. And I sat there going, wow, we're at cross purposes.
Yes, yeah.
And that's the
fundamental difference between two approaches.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's the difference for our education system and most parents. I would say most parents. What do most parents want for their children?
Right.
Our education system, what does it want? It wants college prep and career readiness.
Yes.
Is a parent's greatest desire for their child and what they want to spend that much time on a good job?
It's not the be all and end all.
That's not what we want.
Yeah.
At least that's not what I want for my kids.
Yeah, we want well-educated people who know how to think.
Who know how to think.
Yeah, and can
who know how to be
discern.
Good, who know the difference between good and evil, who know how to honor God, who know how to be a member of a community, right? And yet in school, what do we teach? Ageism, by default.
Yes.
What do we teach? Yeah. You know, here's another really compelling reason to consider homeschool. You have to understand that when you drop your child off at school, you are tacitly telling them that you are not capable
of teaching them.
You're tacitly telling them that. Don't tell me that, okay, maybe 5-year-olds don't know this, but other kids know, oh, homeschooling's an option, like homeschooling's there.
Right.
It doesn't matter anyway. You tell them by dropping them off that the teacher has the authority. They come home, Daddy, you have to sign this. The teacher says you have to sign this. Okay, give it to me, I'll sign it. Whoop, you just went under the authority of the teacher.
Right.
Now what the teacher says supersedes your authority.
Yes.
And we wonder why teens come back and go, you can't tell me that, you don't know that. Why our teenagers are like pushing back.
Yes.
I don't deal with pushback from my kids.
Really?
It's not that we don't butt heads sometimes, but we discuss it. And and my word goes, Dad's word goes.
Yeah.
Because we are the authorities in the house.
They understand that.
And they understand that.
Yeah.
And no one has questioned our authority to our children.
What about the parents who say, my kids won't be socialized? They will be great kids at home. They will be wonderful children. They will be well behaved. They will be educated. But they won't be able to get along with other kids.
Well, just be clear. If your main goal in sending your child to school is not education, but socialization, maybe that's one way to get socialized. It's no guarantee.
Yeah.
Your kid could just as easily be the bullied kid in school, and that would be a horrible experience for them.
Yeah,
But sure, give it a whirl. Why not? If we're playing roulette, look, we're in Vegas. We might as well gamble with our children.
We're gambling with everything else in our lives.
So in the back of my book, I have a list of the 10 top objections. I can't do it because. And socialization is one of, well, what about socialization? That should not be your primary concern.
Right.
Figure it out. Get your kids involved in karate. Do the soccer thing. There are other ways to socialize your children. And when they're young, they don't socialize. They don't. You put your child in preschool, that child plays next to other child who plays by themselves. Right?
I've seen it.
And sometimes they fight over toys. And by the way, so this is kind of interesting. Why do you tell your child that they should share? That's like completely anti, right? Like, I mean, we do, and we want them to learn to share, but it's completely antithetical to sort of, but I want it and I want it.
Counterintuitive.
It's kind of funny.
It really is.
It's kind of socialist. So if you want to raise good little socialists, that might be one way to do it.
There you go.
Actually, it is one way to do it. Why do you think Bernie Sanders had so much support in the last election?
Oh, yeah. That's interesting. Let's talk about politics for just a minute. And then
Why not? I've already blown it with everybody.
No, you have not. They love you already.
Oh, funny.
There's a huge divide in our nation.
No.
Right? There is. It's true. Part of it is generational, I think. And this upcoming generation is different than my generation, your generation.
Do you think that the generational divide is worse than it used to be?
I do.
That's because of schooling.
Yeah, it could very well be.
You're making my point for me. It's because we're teaching children that their parents' authority doesn't matter. The school's authority supersedes the parents' authority, and the school's telling them socialism is the way to go. You have to care about the planet. Global warming is true.
Right.
I'm trying to think about like all the other stuff. Oil is bad. Coal is bad. What else are they telling them? Socialism works. Hello? Can I get a history class?
Anywhere. You don't have to go back
Che
that far.
Guevara was a good
Venezuela.
guy.
Oh, God.
Go online and look up Che Guevara on Wikipedia. He was a good guy and slightly misunderstood. And by the way, just so you know, he did not like illegal immigrants. He hated them and he wanted them all deported.
And he was a murderer. Don't forget that part.
Well, of course, he was an enormous murderer, and nobody, by the way, he hated gays, okay? So you snowflakes out there with your special, I mean, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
They know so little.
Yeah, I know. It's just amazing.
And that's the product of our education. So you talk about the divide generationally. Absolutely, I would say the biggest cause of that is our education system. And the education system, which, by the way, has been taken over by Common Core. And don't we want our children to be common? Isn't that what we want these days? That's why they called it Common Core. If you don't want your child to be common, I don't know why you're sending them to school.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So the generational divide, granted. I think that the political divide that you're talking about that if we can get away from if we can just
talk about liberals, conservatives,
yeah.
believers,
I think that
non-believers.
it has absolutely been enhanced by the Democrat Party to an end. So it's sort of like, do you remember that thing you did when you were a kid and you swung your arms about and you walk towards somebody and you're like, I'm just swinging my arms here, and if you get in the way, it's your fault.
Right, yeah.
Okay? I believe this is what the Democrats do.
Yeah, yeah.
So they say divisive things. They call Trump a racist. There's absolutely no evidence of his racism.
Ever.
They just don't like what he says,
Yeah,
okay?
right.
But they say he's a racist and therefore he's causing a divide. No, you are with your accusations.
Right.
Do you know he just called out 4 congresswomen, right? Mm-hmm. Didn't name them.
And then they called a press conference.
And then 4 congresswomen out of the blue said he's talking about us. What did he say about them?
Yeah.
What did he say? He said they hate America.
Yes.
Well, so they're copping to hating America themselves. They volunteer. They say he's talking about us because we hate America, but we don't hate America. What?
Yeah.
Make a decision.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was really amusing that he didn't name them.
Right.
And then they called a press conference and all 4 of them stood there.
Yes.
It's just
By the way, he said they should go back to their home countries. Well, how many of them have home countries that are not America? Just one of the women who spoke up. So the other women clearly were not, he didn't intend them. He must have intended some other women.
Yeah, that's I like the way he stirs things up, don't you? He really does.
Oh, Trump?
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, gosh. He's the greatest gift to the United States of America in a long time.
He's a magician, you know. It's like, watch this hand, because down here.
I think there's a lot of that. I think he plays them.
Oh, he absolutely did.
And I think it's going to get better and better before the election.
I can see why you're a radio talk show host. We want to talk about that when we come back.
Okay.
We will be back with the fascinating, intelligent, and beautiful Sam Sorbo.
You forgot
right after this.
A potential audience of more than 50 million people is reached every week by Las Vegas Tonight. To keep the important message of Christ's love on the air, we need your prayers and financial blessings. Please send your tax-deductible gift to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. For a donation of $25 or more, we'll send you a copy of Dale Davidson's new book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints. You'll love these inspiring stories of Las Vegas Christians who are changing the world. Or donate to the ministry, or order Dale's book by going to vegassaints.org. That's vegassaints.org. Or call us today at 702-480-3989. That's 480-3989. God bless you.
The Lord has made it possible for our show, Las Vegas Tonight, to thrive. We've produced well over 300 episodes telling the remarkable stories of Christians who have set out to change the world for the better. It's my honor to lead this ministry. As the founder of Dale Davidson Ministries, I'm commanded to be a good steward of all the donations our partners have so generously provided to us. As you can imagine, it takes a great deal of money to keep this program on the air in the United States and around the world. Please, prayerfully consider making a one-time donation or becoming a monthly partner of Dale Davidson Ministries. Just go to vegassaints.org and select Make a Donation, or send your check or money order made out to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. For more information, call 702-480-3989. Thank you, and God bless you.
Drawn by the lights, glamour, and opportunities in Sin City, they come from all over the world, searching for their chance to be a pretty woman, a success, or maybe just to have a better life. Be somebody. What happened after they got here is literally changing the world. From the story of Tommy Scott, a former gang enforcer turned Christian evangelist, to the Hookers for Jesus Outreach Ministry, to the heart-wrenching story of Arturo Martinez and his heroic act of forgiving the man who assaulted and murdered his wife and 10-year-old daughter. Las Vegas Tonight presents an extraordinary depiction of Las Vegas as a city of transformation, from Sin City to Vegas Saints. Las Vegas Tonight, from Sin City to Vegas Saints, a collection of true stories of transformation, people whose lives were transformed, and people who are now transforming the world.
Welcome back to Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. We have a fascinating guest. Fascinating. Mrs. Sam Sorbo. We went through an entire segment without mentioning your husband. Except you said my husband once.
I did.
Yeah. He's like a famous guy. Do you want to tell anybody who
Kevin
he is?
Sorbo, ladies and gentlemen.
Actor, director, writer.
Yes.
Producer, just like you. You're
Yes.
all of those things.
Yes.
Yeah. Only you were on Hercules, but you weren't Hercules.
I was Hercules.
Herculette? See?
Hercules. No, I
Wow.
played a princess on Hercules.
Yeah.
And life imitates art.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then here you are.
Yeah.
His princess.
So on our first date, he said to me, I know where I'm going to get married. Because that's what every little boy dreams of, right? It was kind of like,
Never.
wow, this is an interesting first date.
Yeah.
And he said, there's a little chapel in the Swiss Alps. And I said, in Garmisch? And he said, yes, how did you know that? And I said, oh, I have a picture of it hanging on my wall that my grandfather gave me.
Where I want to get married.
And he said, and I'm going to have 3 children, boy, boy, girl. And I said, that's so weird. That's what I'm having, boy, boy, girl. And that's what we had.
Wow. That's remarkable.
Yeah.
Tell me about your faith. How'd you come to Christ?
So I went on a search. I was raised in an atheist household.
Really?
As a Jew.
Mm-hmm.
We celebrated Christmas and Easter. Mm-hmm. So it was a little bit confusing,
Yeah.
to put it mildly. I went to Sunday school.
They were culturally Jewish.
No.
Not even that.
No, because we celebrated Christmas and Easter.
I know,
so
it's weird, yeah.
So it was interesting times. Anyway,
Yeah.
that didn't really work. I kind of walked away from that because there was no support at home.
Yeah.
If you think that your children are going to get their religion at church or at synagogue, you're wrong. They won't. I'll just say that flat
Yeah,
out. That's
yeah.
not where children learn their religion. It's where they might learn some specifics, maybe, although the Sunday schools that we have going these days, I talked to a Sunday school teacher who'd been teaching Sunday school for 30 years. Not a single parent had ever asked her what she taught.
Really?
Yes. So you need to have these
That's not good.
conversations with your children. In fact, my second book, which of course I forgot, is a devotional called Teach from Love. And it goes through godly characteristics. And it's good even for teachers in secular schools because there are stories in there that are not biblical, even though Bible stories are perfectly acceptable. You just can't say God this and God that. But the
Right.
stories of the Bible are all pertinent to today.
It's great literature.
It is great literature. It's great history.
Yeah.
And the idea is not that we need everybody to believe in God, but we need everybody to believe in virtue. And we need to understand the definition of virtue.
Yeah.
And so I wrote this devotional. It's called a school year devotional. It's for parents to sit down with their kids and discuss godly characteristics and why they're important. Why do we tell the truth? Why do we tell the truth?
Yeah.
And since we're on that topic, why do we swear to tell the truth on a
The
Bible?
whole truth on the Bible. Yeah. Yeah.
Some people don't.
Yeah.
I think John Brennan swore to uphold his oath of office on an unsigned copy of the Declaration of Independence, if I remember correctly.
That's odd.
It's like signing it on toilet paper. I don't know why you
Yeah.
would
Why would you do that?
swearing it on,
Yeah.
a tissue.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, we've had a couple Muslim congressmen who have
They
used
swear
the
in
Quran,
on the Quran.
On the Quran.
So
which-
where in the Quran does it say you may not lie?
Yeah.
Because our Bible says you don't lie.
That's right. That's one of the top
Just
10.
saying.
That's one of the top 10.
I'm just saying,
yeah.
yeah.
And the
So-
Quran says it's okay.
So I went on a search in my 20s and discovered order in the universe.
Yeah.
There are a lot of different ways to get to God. There are a lot of paths of apologetics. I followed sort of my own. I did some research. And then I started attending church. And the funny story there is, I asked my girlfriend at one point, hey, do you go to church? And she goes, yeah. You know, people get weird when you ask them if they go to church. And I said, would you mind if I tagged along one day? And she goes, no, I suppose that'd be fine, you know. Mm-hmm. Well, she had only just recently restarted going to church. She found a church that she liked, and so she started going again. Mm-hmm. And the reason that she had stopped going to church is she felt like the church demanded that she proselytize, and she was uncomfortable with that. Yeah. So when I reached out and said, would you be able to bring me to church? She kind of did this. Well, if that's what you meant, I could do that.
That's not that hard.
Isn't it funny?
Yeah, that's right.
And yet, you know, Penn Jillette, who's speaking at the Freedom Fest,
I know,
said something really very clever. He said, if you believe that a train is heading in my direction, right, and I'm standing on the tracks, and you firmly believe that, if you don't at some point haul off and tackle me, I have no respect for you and your faith. So if we believe as Christians in the Bible, in God, in Jesus, right? The idea that we don't share that with people. Mm-hmm. I buy a great pair of pants. Somebody says, hey, I like your pants. I say, this is where I got them. This is how much they cost. This is probably still there, or if they're not,
when they're on sale.
Right.
All that.
Right.
Yeah.
So we used to we travel a lot with our kids. And every single plane ride, every single one of the stewards would come up and say, are those your children? Because sometimes we sit separate, apart.
Yeah,
We're 5, we can't all sit together.
Right.
Are those your children? They're so well behaved, they're so polite.
Yes.
And we'd always say, thank you, they're homeschooled. But I'm stopping doing that. Now I say, thank you, they're Christian.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. By the way, that story you just told about Penn Jillette, he said that to my friend Tim Behrens.
Oh, okay, yeah, Tim Behrens, sure.
Yeah, you know Tim.
I don't know him, but I saw the movie. I got the T-shirt.
Yeah. He's been working on Penn Jillette for 10 years.
Yeah.
And he sees him, often goes up to him. He's just as tall as he is.
Oh, that makes it easier.
Yeah, it's like 2 6'8" guys.
Because I'm like
I
this.
remember you. Yeah, they're giants. And he said it to him.
Yeah.
And it's really an interesting thing, and that's the one thing I respect about Penn Jillette.
Oh,
that's it.
He's an honest broker.
Yeah, he is.
You know, he used to be less that.
Yeah.
So to me, he's come a long way. Yeah. And to be a libertarian and to be vocal about what he believes in, I hand it to him. It is difficult to have conservative values.
And be in show business.
Certainly to be in show business, but even just in today's culture, it's difficult. I know too many conservatives who won't talk about, at any workplace, they won't talk about it.
Yeah.
There was a woman up in Portland, she's a writer, a reporter, and she started #MeNeither. And she wanted to have a conversation questioning some of the accusations that are just, people just make accusations and they don't require any kind of evidence because we are no longer evidence-based.
Yes.
We've become all feelings-based.
Yes.
Why? This is a quiz. Why?
Education.
Education. Thank you. No, but
I
here's
got
the
there.
thing.
It took me a while.
But the thing is, it's true. I'm speaking truth.
Yes.
In fact, there was a big push in the past, I'm going to say 15 years, to shift to emotional education. So there's a lot of the education now that is emotionally based.
Well, that makes sense because it's all relativistic. And how do I feel about this?
Well, Common Core math.
Yeah.
If you say 5 and 5 is 11, as long as you can show how you got there,
it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Amazing, right?
Yeah. Speaking of which, do you consider yourself a libertarian?
No.
No?
No. Conservative.
Yeah. Because of their social standing. I mean, their social issues.
It's just
standing.
I'm more conservative than anything.
Yeah.
And so once I found conservative, I'm like, oh, check that box, and then I didn't really look any further.
Yeah.
I know some of the positions of libertarianism.
Yeah.
I still believe that we need a central government, but it needs to be small.
Yeah.
And and by the way, the Libertarian Party is a fairly vast spectrum.
Yes, it is.
So if I don't identify with the guy out here, I probably quite identify with the guy over here.
Right.
And so you just have to, you know.
Well, that's the way parties used to be. You know, Ronald Reagan said, the big tent. If you say you're a Republican, come on in.
Right.
We'll cure you.
Right.
Yeah, and we want to participate.
And we'll help
but
you
now
out. And if you're willing to consider,
yeah.
right? And we want you to consider the different issues, and you consider your position and their position and the different sides. But that's not the case with the Democrats anymore.
No, it's not.
Because they've gone full tilt leftist.
Oh, it's socialism now.
Yeah.
You know, agree with this, or you're a bigot, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or you're, what's the word? Deplorable.
Oh,
and
basket of deplorables.
And irredeemable.
Wow.
And that was the most important thing.
Wow.
Everybody fixated on deplorable.
Yeah.
But the next thing that she said, Hillary, was you're irredeemable. What does that mean?
Wow.
If you can't
That's
redeem
anti-Christian.
it, well, it is.
Yeah.
And if you can't redeem it, what value does it have?
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah,
and that's where they come off. That's where the communists came off, and they buried, well, they didn't bury, 100 million people in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
Because those people were deemed to be irredeemable.
Worth nothing.
Worth nothing.
Yeah.
What does Christianity say?
Yeah.
Everybody is redeemable.
Yes.
Everybody has value.
That's right.
So, you know, you make your choice. Everybody has value, or maybe you have no value.
Wow.
And that's where that leaves us with this nihilistic. Why do you think we have a rise in teenage suicide? They're products of our education system, which teaches them what? That they are accidents of nature, that Darwinism is fact, which it isn't, yet to be proved.
It's
Remember,
a theory. It's
the
only
missing
a theory.
link, we still don't have that.
Right.
Darwin himself argued against it in the book.
Wow.
If you read the book, he said without finding that missing link, none of this is basically worth anything.
Yeah. But just in case.
But we're teaching, well, just in case, he published his book in advance of someone else, that he found out someone else was going to publish it.
Wow, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he wanted to get the scoop on them.
Yeah.
And so he knew that it was incomplete.
Sure.
It is incomplete.
Sure.
But it's easy for nihilists, progressives, socialists, Marxists, leftists,
whatever,
the Reds, to you know, say, oh, okay, this is the truth. How dare they teach children in school that they are accidents of nature?
Yeah, I know. It's horrible.
It's child abuse.
Yeah. And speaking of attitudes and irredeemability, we're teaching our kids by being pro-abortion that there is no value to human life.
That's right.
Period.
That's
so
right.
Why not hang yourself?
This is a disaster.
Isn't that kind of what's going on?
It's a disaster.
Yeah.
There's another component of this, and that is that because we have become so affluent as a society, our children aren't needing to work.
True.
Right? It used to be you had 8 kids because you needed people on the farm.
On the farm,
you needed them
right.
milking the cows early in the morning and gathering the eggs and stuff. And we don't have that anymore. And so I really encourage parents to give their children chores that are necessary.
Yes.
There's too many stories of older children who say that they considered suicide, but they couldn't do it because they knew that their younger siblings needed them. We need to make our children feel included in a family relationship.
Yeah.
Why is the school, why do I have a trouble with the education system? It's because it pulls children out of the family, it pits them against each other through ageism, because we have ageism in our classrooms.
Sure we do.
And then it spits them back out, and so you have a less cohesive family unit, and the children have been taught that they're accidents.
Yeah.
And they've been taught that they're better than or worse than their siblings.
Right, right.
And so it's an untenable equation. And now when we first started with public school, which was not at the beginning of this nation, by the way, it seemed like this was going to be a great thing. And we were teaching biblical values, and we were teaching how to be a functioning citizen, how to be a member of society and stuff. And
a fairly high level. I mean, high school education was like college today.
Yeah, that too, right?
Yeah.
And so we've seen the decline in education, and I don't understand why there aren't more people sort of outraged, as I am, about the situation that we find ourselves in now. I mean, I pay my taxes for an education that we're not getting. but it's third-party payer, right? So we're paying taxes,
Yeah.
and then the government says, okay, this is for the schools, and so we don't even know, really. We don't appreciate that.
Yeah, the single biggest reason I think private schools work, whether they're Christian schools or parochial schools or just prep schools, is parental involvement, because they're paying a lot of money. And I think the parents want results.
Invested, right? Then they're invested.
Yeah, and they're directly
Right.
involved in it.
Right.
And I think that has a lot to do with it.
Right.
I mean, so many parents today just dump the kids off. Say, see ya.
And they
Have a good day. I'll be drinking.
Well, no, come on. But they think that they've delegated responsibility.
Yeah.
And the fact is that you cannot, because the responsibility is always yours as the parent.
Yeah.
And this is but here's the thing. The schools are complicit in this sort of equation, telling the parents, hey, you back off, we've got it from here. And then they send homework home for the parents.
Right.
Make sure that your child does X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Make sure that you bake the cookies for the bake sale, all of that, right?
Right.
And we're good students. Because why? Because we all went to public schools.
Yeah, we know
So
this.
we know how to sit in a chair, behave, follow directions.
Right.
This is why so few people think that they can homeschool, is because they're products of the education system, and they were taught, as I was taught, that they are incapable of doing anything that they haven't been formally instructed by somebody at a blackboard.
Yeah.
Right? And so we have this situation where now it's sort of compounded, because it's generation after generation that has this same experience. And in fact, the opening, I got to read this now that I've come to here, the opening quote in my book. This is Bertrand Russell, who was quoting Fichte, who was the head of philosophy and psychology at Prussian University, which is what influenced our entire school movement, right?
Okay.
Here in the States. As you know, our school movement was basically created over in
Germany.
Sorry.
Yeah, Germany.
Education should aim at destroying free will, so that after pupils are thus schooled, they will be incapable throughout the rest of their lives of thinking or acting otherwise than as their schoolmasters would have wished.
Wow.
So they are training citizens
Wow.
to behave
To be
like
sheep.
slaves,
Yeah.
like sheep.
Yeah.
Now, why don't we have civic education in our school system anymore?
We used to.
We used to.
Yeah, I went through those classes.
We don't
yeah.
really. 2 weeks maybe. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe they focus on
We had at
it.
least a semester of civics explaining
Right. How you vote,
Yeah.
why you vote,
how a bill becomes a law.
bill, you remember the song,
Yeah,
I'm
right.
I'm a bill, whatever it is, Capitol Hill, I can't remember it. We're not doing that anymore. Do you know
Yeah.
why? Shall I tell you why?
Sure, why?
What is our government? Our government is of the people, by the people, and for the people. Who
Sure.
has the power in the equation?
The voters.
It's not the government, it's
Yeah.
the people.
Yeah.
Why would the government teach the people
That
they
they
have the power?
Yeah.
It's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Certainly, our federal government should not be involved in education.
No.
Certainly.
Yeah, there's been a strong argument against the Department of Education for a long time, and I'm not sure what it is they do, other than they mandate a lot of paperwork. I have friends who are public school teachers, many of whom have quit over this, just because it's all about the test scores. Teach to the test,
Yep.
and then fill out all this software
Right.
that, by the way, we bought from our pals.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
There's
stay till
lot-
11 o'clock at night.
There's
you
a
know?
lot of money in education.
Yeah, there is.
But it's not going to help the children.
Yeah, yeah. One-room schoolhouses run by moms.
Well, you can suggest to your friends who are public school teachers
Yeah.
if they are fed up with the system, because they are caught in the system.
Yeah, they're
just-
tired. They're sick
right?
of it. They're sick of it.
And typically these are wonderful people who just want to give.
They
to
wanted to
children.
help.
They,
They wanted
want
to help
be
kids,
there,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They can hang out a shingle. They can start their own business, homeschooling other people's children.
That's a great idea.
Because we have so many dual working parent households or single parent households, right?
Yeah.
Where and that's, a lot of people say, well, I work full time. How can I do this? There's lots of different ways to get stuff done.
Sure.
So it doesn't, I tell my story in the book, but my story is one of a million
Oh, yeah.
or more. You know what I mean? Every story is different. Every child is different.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
That's the
yeah.
other thing is, how different each of your children are to one another. Why would you shove them into a one size fits all kind of education system?
Yeah, it's a bad idea.
So,
Bad idea. Okay, spend a minute on the movie.
The movie.
I love the idea of the movie. It's a Western.
It's a Western.
Westerns have come back thanks to the Sorbos.
So this movie is called Miracle in East Texas, a tall tale inspired by an absolutely true story.
Okay.
It is the absolutely true story of the East Texas oil strike, which was the biggest oil strike in the history of the world.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
These two scoundrels were seducing widows into investing in their worthless oil scams.
Right.
They did Oklahoma, they got to Texas, they set up shop again. They accidentally strike oil. The biggest oil strike in the history of the world.
That's hilarious.
And it is a comedy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It takes place in 1930, so it's a period piece.
Yeah.
The boys had a lot of fun doing it.
I'll bet.
We got John Ratzenberger to play opposite Kevin. So those are your two scoundrels. Tyler Maine's in the movie.
Wow.
Lou Gossett Jr. is great. And it's a
and
lot
Sam
of fun.
Sorbo?
Yes, I'm in the movie also.
Who do you play?
I played one of the women who was bamboozled, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you end up wealthy. Is there a happy ending?
So of course the movie has a happy ending, but I can't tell you what the ending is. I'm not doing spoilers.
I almost tricked her into it.
But it's a comedy.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun.
That sounds like great fun.
It touches a little bit on faith. My favorite part, since we're here at the Freedom Fest, my favorite part is when one of the characters gives the message of freedom.
Right.
And of course, it's about oil.
Sure.
And when they
oil
hit
was a good
oil
thing then.
in 1930, remember 1930, right after, during the Depression, right after the stock market crash.
Right.
This turned everything around for these people when they hit oil.
Oh yeah.
So I just like putting oil in a
Positive
nice
thing.
light, because you've got idiots out there saying, "Oh, oil is so bad." Okay, give up your phone, your shoes, your belt, your shirt.
Yeah.
Right.
Your shampoo.
You walk around naked and stop using anything, right? Because everything, so much of what we use today is petroleum based.
Yeah.
And they have no idea. They don't have a clue.
Yeah.
You have President Obama saying you can open a coal plant, but we will bankrupt you.
Yeah,
How dare he, by the way? Who does he think he is?
Yes.
Then he goes on and says, those jobs aren't coming back. I don't know if you have a magic wand. And Donald Trump says, well, I do have a magic wand. It's called deregulation.
And it happened.
Yes.
Yeah, those little towns,
Yes.
Kentucky and Ohio
Yes.
and places, just boom, came back.
Yes.
It's great.
Yes.
We would like you, in the remaining minutes, however long you want to take, to lead
before I
people
do.
to Christ. Yeah, go ahead.
My radio show.
Oh, I was going to ask you about your radio show. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You have a great radio show. Tell me all about it. How's that for a question?
Pretty much like this. In fact, I should have you on because
thanks.
this is a great conversation.
Yeah, we're having a good one.
It's called The Sam Sorbo Show. It's on mojo50.com. Mojo50.com. MOJO50.com.
Okay.
And it's weekdays from 3 to 5.
Wow.
And then they also replay it during the week. So if you go to mojo50.com, you can find it. I also podcast some of my interviews.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Okay. Good.
And those are picked up by Salem Communications.
I
so
know Salem.
Mike Gallagher puts them up on his website, promotes
okay.
them a little bit, and so you can find some of the podcasts there.
Great.
And the show itself is also podcast. So, but I like to pull out some of the special interviews that I do and put them up on Mike Online and get
And it's
people more
talk all the
exposure.
time? Is it always interviews, or do you do?
No, I do a little bit of both.
Oh, you do?
Sometimes
Okay.
you just hear my opinions.
Yeah. Well, they're good opinions. They
Thank
were
you.
smart to hire you. They were.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Doesn't everyone think so? Okay, everyone applaud. See how they're just sheep.
You're going to fill in the sound on that,
They're
so it
products.
sounds like a massive
That's
audience.
right. They are products of the public school
That's right.
system.
They do what they're told.
That's what they do. Many of our viewers, many of our millions of viewers, are not Christians. That's one of the wonderful things about them, because we want them to become Christians.
Because they're opportunities.
Yes.
They're not irredeemable.
That's right. So that is your camera. Tell them why they should become a Christian. Lead them in the sinner's prayer. Do whatever you want to do, but make them come to Christ.
So I
know you can do it.
I will reveal this. When I went on a search, and I was raised as a Jew, but not a believing Jew. So it kind of was like, and I went on a search, and I discovered God because there is order in the universe. And then I went on a search for God. I went to church. So I encourage you to go to church, because if you go to church, you will find God. He will find you. Not that you've been lost. You're not lost. But you will find God. And the more you read the Word of God, the more you understand your intrinsic value. Because if you don't believe in God, then you must believe you have no value. I don't see how you can say that you have value when you are the meter, the measure of your worth. But if you believe in God, then you know that you have worth because you were created for a purpose. And once you recognize that, fear goes away, life starts to make sense, confidence comes in, and love. Did I tell you we just went to Israel?
No, you didn't.
My first trip to Israel.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And walking in the Holy Land, walking in the footsteps of Jesus,
Wow.
seeing the archaeological path, right?
Sure.
Is overwhelming. It's overwhelming. I'm still not quite recovered. Like, I'm still processing it. And
That's wonderful.
here's the big thing. If you don't believe in God, you haven't done your research. That's really all it is.
Yes.
And if you haven't done your research, it's for one of two reasons. You're dumb or you don't want to know. Because if you do your research and you look for clues and it's so easy now. Go online, go on YouTube, look under apologetics, listen to John Lennox, who my husband's doing a documentary with. He's an
really?
amazing apologist.
Yeah,
He's a brilliant mathematician who believes in God. Understand that scientists who don't believe in God, the more they discover about the universe, the more of them come to God, come to an understanding that there must be a creator.
Yeah, many intelligent, many geniuses.
Yes.
Blaise Pascal, for example,
Right.
1600s, right?
God-shaped hole in the
Yeah,
heart.
yeah, and he was a mathematician.
Right.
And he did all that study. And
I'm a mathematician in my heart.
Yeah, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he used probability theory to say, here's the wager.
Right.
You know,
Right.
if I'm right, and God exists, and heaven exists, and hell exists, and you reject that, right? You have made a wager.
Right.
Okay?
Right. That's your bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've bet your eternal life.
Right.
Now, on the other hand, if I'm wrong, and you do all of those things, all the good things,
Right.
what happens? You had a good life. And
Right.
if I'm wrong, and it's all over,
Right.
you had a good life.
If in that bet somehow it's incorrect.
So, if you have any intelligence at all, why not believe in it? And the funny
the other thing is it's uplifting, like it's the pragmatic choice too.
Yeah.
Because to believe that there is no God, to believe that there's nothing, good heavens, I don't know how you go through life.
I know.
Every little setback is like, I might as well kill myself now.
Yeah, I know.
Which is what we're doing to our children.
I know.
So,
It's tragic. Thank you for coming on the show.
thanks for having me.
Come again. I mean it.
Happy to.
She's very intelligent and beautiful and all that stuff. We are all very jealous of Kevin Sorbo, by the way. Every man in this room has fallen in love.
Aww.
It's true. You're sweet. Anyway.
Oh, samsorbo.com.
That's right. That's how you get the book.
samsorbo.com. My devotional is there also.
And what's the devotional called again?
It's called Teach from Love, and you can also find Let There Be Light. By the way, if you don't
That's a great
believe in
movie,
God,
by the way.
if you don't believe in God, go see Let There Be Light.
That's right. Your husband.
And if you do, go see Let There Be Light.
Yeah, you were all
Phenomenal.
good. Everybody was good in that movie. It really was.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All homeschoolers need to watch that movie.
Yeah.
We'll send it to them free.
Homeschoolers are on the right track. I want the other people to watch that movie.
That's right. There you go. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
God bless you. And God bless you all. And as I try to say and remember each and every time, when it comes to Jesus Christ, follow him, will you? God bless you. The Lord has made it possible for our show, Las Vegas Tonight, to thrive. We've produced well over 300 episodes telling the remarkable stories of Christians who have set out to change the world for the better. It's my honor to lead this ministry. As the founder of Dale Davidson Ministries, I'm commanded to be a good steward of all the donations our partners have so generously provided to us. As you can imagine, it takes a great deal of money to keep this program on the air in the United States and around the world. Please prayerfully consider making a one-time donation or becoming a monthly partner of Dale Davidson Ministries. Just go to vegassaints.org and select Make a Donation, or send your check or money order made out to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada 89117. For more information, call 702-480-3989. Thank you, and God bless you. Hello, I'm Dale Davidson. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Las Vegas Tonight. Allow me to take just a few moments to let you know how you can learn more about some of the fascinating guests that I've interviewed. My new book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints, is now available around the world. In it, I profile amazing people who make Las Vegas something much more than just a place to party. These compelling stories often tell of people who came to Las Vegas for reasons much different than the innovative ministries they ended up leading right here in Sin City. Take, for example, Tommy Scott, known as Hitman to his fellow members of an infamous gang in South Central Los Angeles. Tommy was serving time in a Las Vegas jail and contemplating suicide when a couple of pastors visited him in the lockup and led him to Christ. Tommy immediately began studying the Word and has become an on-fire evangelist and Christian author. Then there's Annie Meadows. Annie began life in a rural part of Kentucky, increasingly was fascinated with the occult, and eventually became a full-fledged witch. Rejecting anything having to do with God, she angrily vowed never to attend church or have anything at all to do with religion. Then, like Tommy, she had an encounter with the living Christ and now travels the world as a gospel singer and writes Christian children's books. Pastor Chris Chappell was an avowed atheist who also wanted nothing to do with the Lord. He was a successful businessman who felt he surely didn't need Jesus. His wife and father-in-law convinced him to attend church, and he felt a stirring that made him investigate the Bible's claims. Telling the Lord that he needed answers to his objections, he found those answers in a supernatural way and is now leading a remarkable church, Casa de Luz, in what's called the Naked City, which is a neighborhood just off the famous Las Vegas Strip. This formerly crime-ridden area is now experiencing a remarkable turnaround, and his church is serving that community in amazing ways. Doc Jones traveled to Las Vegas from New York on a personal mission to make as much money as he could. A born entrepreneur, he started a photography business that specialized in taking pictures of groups of partiers at the hot nightclubs on the Strip. He then learned that by referring young guys to the city strip clubs, he could pick up lots of cash from the club's owners. That evolved into sending young women who were wannabe strippers to these so-called gentlemen's clubs, and then he managed their careers. Eventually, he felt so empty and despondent that he too thought seriously of suicide. Hearing a sermon about the prodigal son caused him to dedicate his life to Christ. Now an exceptional musician and composer of gospel rap, hip-hop, and spoken word genres, he is helping change Las Vegas from a place where sin abounds to a city where grace abounds more. Pastor Clegg Seth was an aspiring actor and screenwriter in Hollywood and a strong Christian who wanted to make a real difference for Christ in the entertainment world. But the Lord called him to establish a crisis hotline for runaway teens who were coming to Hollywood to pursue their silver screen dreams. He then started halfway houses for men and women with substance abuse and other problems. He also helped set up a similar men's home in Las Vegas. At one point, he developed a gambling habit, but the Lord delivered him from that problem, and he now devotes his life to sharing Christ with men in prison, serving seniors in a church setting, along with visits to nursing homes and hospitals. He has continued his quest to influence Hollywood through a ministry called the Christian Studio. I personally really look up to Clegg Seth as a model of how a Christian should live and serve others. He truly is one of the Vegas saints. Read these stories and more in this 226-page book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints. You can get your copy in several different ways. Go to my website, vegassaints.org, or order it on Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. It's just $15.99 plus shipping. For more information or to make a donation to Dale Davidson Ministries that will help us keep this program on the air, please call 702-480-3989. Or you can write to us at Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara, Suite 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. And thank you so much for watching Las Vegas Tonight.
A potential audience of more than 50 million people is reached every week by Las Vegas Tonight. To keep the important message of Christ's love on the air, we need your prayers and financial blessings. Please send your tax-deductible gift to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. For a donation of $25 or more, we'll send you a copy of Dale Davidson's new book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints. You'll love these inspiring stories of Las Vegas Christians who are changing the world. Or donate to the ministry, or order Dale's book by going to vegassaints.org. That's vegassaints.org. Or call us today at 702-480-3989. That's 480-3989. God bless you. From the story of Tommy Scott, a former gang enforcer turned Christian evangelist, to the Hookers for Jesus Outreach Ministry, to the heart-wrenching story of Arturo Martinez and his heroic act of forgiving the man who assaulted and murdered his wife and 10-year-old daughter. Las Vegas Tonight presents an extraordinary depiction of Las Vegas as a city of transformation, from Sin City to Vegas Saints. Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints, a collection of true stories of transformation, people whose lives were transformed, and people who are now transforming the world. A potential audience of more than 50 million people is reached every week by Las Vegas Tonight. To keep the important message of Christ's love on the air, we need your prayers and financial blessings. Please send your tax-deductible gift to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. For a donation of $25 or more, we'll send you a copy of Dale Davidson's new book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints. You'll love these inspiring stories of Las Vegas Christians who are changing the world. You've been watching Las Vegas Tonight with Dale Davidson. Send your tax-deductible gifts to Dale Davidson Ministries, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, number 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. Or call 702-480-3989. Thanks for watching.